unapologetically ourselves, that we can celebrate who we are in this poem. And so I hope you enjoy. I have been folding my tongue beneath itself, bleaching my language, clenching my jaw with shackled teeth, because the moment I open my mouth, uprising spring from my saliva, my dialogue is sullied. Trampled with the muddy boots of trade and migration, battling nations in my diaphragm, so the rhythm in my diction sounds like a war cry, and despite the white stuffed down my windpipe, I talk black with nappy phonics, syllables that kink and twist, naughty expression that beads on my palate, soul glow in this spit shine flow, Jericho jogging, bongo drums in my diction. This slang is semantic resistance, off with the head of the King's English. Can't you smell the riot on my breath? Char in my esophagus, my laugh is arsenic, and ain't enough opiates in this elementary education to hook me on phonics or gentrify the djembe out of my pronunciation. Love the taste of this cornbread accent. Sugar cane slang, my tongue is motherland, mama of civilization, birth of every nation, scat, boom, bat, hi-hat, jazz, sax. There is music in my melanin, and I be talking super black. With a neck roll to articulate my tone. Conversations get you high as my cheekbones, and lingo about lush as these hips done grown. Thick thighs and deep fried vernacular, hand motions and sound effects, hieroglyphics hidden in my messages. My breath is the building of the pyramids on repeat. I'm like a Negro spiritual sampled over a trap beat. There is a black anthem inside my belly, so I will always lift every voice and speak. Thank you. Thank you. So this second and last poem that I'm going to do is entitled Sugarcane Smile. It's a poem that I actually wrote about my mother and her struggle with diabetes, and I felt like this would also be a space that could appreciate this poem. And so I'll leave you with this. My mama got a sugarcane smile. Southern sweetened iced tea, hint of lemon in her kiss. My mama loved me like home-cooked meals, slow roasted conversations, leftovers in the corners of my mind like I remember. She gave me cheese curls like teething rings to place between my gums and satisfy my crying. She Twizzler twisted my thick hair with globs of blue magic, make me Sunday fresh. My skin hot fudge, she caramel at best. My mama got skin like raisin bran, where moles decorate the flakes of her melanin. My mama, cornbread and cola, candy yam and cabbage, banana pudding and cobbler. Food so good on the taste buds, it make her feet swell. She wobbles sometimes like the pendulums on grandma's clock that do tell time. Learning from all the times great-grands was cooking for church's second service. Learn to praise God through baked mac and cheese and pray. My daddy come home from the service, but he dead and gone now. And my mama in combat mode, her body covered with infections like chocolate-coated candies. Sugar level 501, which is to say, she got stroke caught in between her teeth. A1C14, veins constricting, then collapsing like salivating glands when you taste that cheesecake that's too rich and saccharine. My mama so sweet, it's sickening. They had to cut cysts from out her breast like she had cavities within her chest, and I'm scared that if she don't water down the syrup in her spirit, they will amputate her limbs and ligaments, leaving her bitter to the taste. Oh, sour in the face, where salty tears replace the stars that twinkle and burst in my mama's iris. My mom is hot cocoa when my soul grows cold from all the pain in this world. All gummy bear dimples and a heart made of pecan swirls. My mama, She got a crock pot type hug. The type that fills the house with aroma. My mama fill me up every time I'm around her. My mama is a recipe passed down through generations. And I just pray my children will have full place before she is called to grace. Amen. Pray her eyes will not be candied wrapper shut before she ever has a chance to meet them. But my mama, she be stubborn like Jawbreaker sometimes, y'all. So I sit waiting, making pools of apologies, hoping she will forgive me enough to take care of herself, because this ain't no Candyland's child's play. And though disease is hard for anyone to swallow, this ain't no sugar pill placebo, because we know diabetes, it will not just go away and still. My mama be like, baby, everything gonna be okay. My mama with a smile made of sugar cane as I just can't help but fear her decay. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work that y'all do. Celebrate yourselves tonight. Thank you for listening.
Wow. That was amazing. Give it up for one more time. Amazing. We got some talented people in here tonight. Wow. But now it's time to introduce our keynote speaker. This gentleman is a son of Washington, D.C., being a graduate of the illustrious Howard University. Oh. Also, the home of the Hoyas, Georgetown University. Okay. I expect there's going to be more Howard than Georgetown. You know that, it's DC. Dr. Reed V. Tuckson is the managing director of Tuckson Health Connections, LLC, a vehicle to advance the initiatives that support optimal health and well-being through the intersection of individual and community health promotion and disease prevention. Applied data and analytics, enhanced quality and efficiency in care delivery, and the application of telehealth and biotech innovations. He has been recognized several times by Modern Healthcare magazine's listing of the 50 most powerful physician executives in healthcare, by Ebony magazine as one of the 100 most powerful executives in corporate America, and as a Washingtonian of the Year by Washingtonian magazine. Please give it up for Dr. Reed Tuckson.
Good evening. Tonight is a night of celebration, and it's an honor to be included in such stellar company, such praiseworthy people. However, even though this is a celebration, my brief remarks tonight come out of the context of pain, suffering, despair, and premature autopsies. There's a phrase commonly used but poorly understood by most people, but certainly not by those gathered here. That phrase is Black Lives Matter. I want you to think with me this evening about the implications, the accountabilities that derive from uttering those words, Black Lives Matter. Those of you being honored tonight are used to making and keeping commitments, a commitment to a life of learning, a commitment to oaths and ethics, a commitment to being of service through the translation of your expertise on behalf of people in need, especially those who are vulnerable because of a myriad of reasons. And you share an unquenchable commitment to life, an animating preoccupation with whether or not the people who share your time and space shall live or prematurely die, and the quality of that survival. We have just come through the worst of the pandemic, a generational crisis that took so much from us at a cost in human terms that is incalculable. As we look back over the last 3 years, it is clear that we were left with some important lessons. both good and bad, but lessons that nevertheless must be attended to by serious people, by people like you. I'll get to the good in a moment, but to appreciate the good, we need to understand the bad out of which good decided to emerge, like the nobility that so often arises from even the most humble of circumstances. Simply put, we were let down by so many in our society, both external to the Black community, but also from within. I will not rehearse the details of governments at every level that approach this pandemic from a perspective consistently chosen to be outside of a profound concern for human life and human survival, but governments who rather chose to use this crisis as a way of advancing obnoxious political aims, who chose to either block or frustrate timely access to necessary life-saving resources for vulnerable communities, who so often chose not to bring Black health expertise into the back rooms of initial strategy formulation, thereby depriving strategic plans access to the insights and the hard-earned experience we have learned to be necessary for maximum effectiveness. Those who refuse to even collect or share key data necessary for monitoring the effectiveness, correction of misguided plans, and continuous learning. We were once again let down by the lack of resources for a sustained community-based infrastructure for health, as we struggled once again with the confines of suboptimal, episodic, and uncoordinated funding streams. But we were also too often let down by our people. People who, unlike you, use slogans like Black Lives Matter, but who haven't embraced the full meaning of that declaration or the commitments that saying it entail. If Black Lives Matter, and they most assuredly do, they have to matter to us first. We were let down by so many of our celebrities, our influencers, and athletes who lack the courage to confront the purveyors within our own community of myth and misinformation. We were let down by a perpetual and almost prideful sense of victimization, which, although understandable in historical terms, is at odds with our very survival. How many times did we hear our people fall back on the magic word Tuskegee without even knowing what it means? Using it as a battering ram to justify some abstract protest against power, even though the fight for vaccination was the very antidote to the insult of the syphilis study's past harm. Or using it as an excuse to disregard common sense guidance. We were let down by every person who felt that their own aggrievement or intellectual laziness somehow justified imperiling the health of their families and their communities through deliberate decisions not to follow sound evidence-based guidance. I'm a child of the 60s. I appreciate the heady intoxication of militancy, but at least then it was militancy for life and progress, and not this deliberate militancy for ignorance and prideful militancy wrapped in all manner of conspiratorial theories disconnected from the struggle for life, but rather serving as handmaidens for premature death. But let me now focus on the more important things. The fact that out of this cacophony and debilitating chaos arose extraordinary flowers of dedication, loving compassion, and extraordinary new partnerships and coalitions. There are some people, well exemplified by you in this room tonight, who refuse to quit. People for whom Black Lives Matter, and in fact, all lives matter, is more than just a slogan to appear on posters or to be shouted at a march. When the pandemic first appeared, we knew what we were up against when the first comment on the first radio show we did was Tuskegee. So we decided to come together with other people of goodwill, people with a shared concern for human life, people who have the expertise, the credibility, and the capacity to get things done. As an example, As my colleague and sister in the struggle, Gigi, just mentioned, we formed the Black Coalition Against COVID. We brought together, as she mentioned, the artists and the musicians and the poets and the labor leaders and small business owners and academics and the faith community, all the infrastructure of the city together. And then we married all that with the 4 Black medical schools, the National Medical Association, the National Black Nurses Association, and the National Urban League. And then we found this special partner called blackdoctor.org. I met Reggie, and it was immediate that this was my brother from another mother. And then we met Ellis Dean. We did 30 at least town halls together over this period of time. 30. Ellis and I are like brothers now. We sweated every day of trying to book all those guests. We sweated through all of those shows together, trying our best to address the issues of saving Black life. Let me say one thing very clearly to all the sponsors of BDO. The sponsors of every page, of every digital content. You are the loveliest, wonderfulest people in the world. What would we have done without your support to make BDO possible for us to be able to run our train across that track? What would we have done? And then to that mixture, we brought in the Ad Council, the Black Woman marketing team from Joy Collective. We were fortunate to bring in all of the fraternities, the sororities, the National Council of Negro Women, all of our political leaders on our social infrastructure. We have touched every single one. Boulay, 100 Black Women, 100, you name it, they have been with us on the shows with BDO. We brought this coalition together, not because we're so special, but because our people are so special. Our lives matter more than a slogan on a doggone poster. We were fortunate to partner with the faith community, with Choose Healthy Life, and with the Values Partnership and other faith-based organizations. And then we partnered with our 2 special people from the White House, Dr. Cameron Webb and Dr. Marcella Nunez Smith, 2 remarkable Black physicians who dedicated their lives for the last 3 years to this struggle. The point of all this is this, and I'm closing out. Don't get nervous. By working together, by using creativity and sustained effort day after day, through the sweat of our labor, we were a significant component of the overall Black community's success in addressing this pandemic and saving Black and other people of color's lives. Why do I say success? Because what Reggie was genius enough to do was he used polling every week on BDO. So we always knew how people were thinking, what the problems were, and we knew how to recalculate and readdress our strategy so that we could hit the sweet spots that we weren't hitting already. We followed it. Most people do not understand, and I will tell you this now, and you should feel good about this. We closed a disparity gap in this country in this pandemic. For the first time ever did we close a pandemic with first level COVID vaccinations. We closed the gap. We ran a race against Leave It to Beaver. He had on a new pair of tennis shoes and a slick jogging suit, and we had an anvil on our back. And you know, we caught that sucker. And our vaccination rate for primary series COVID vaccines equaled the white community, despite all the challenges we had and the advantages that they have. But that's not just it. This is the hard part. Because we did our job, and unfortunately, because the nut jobs in the red states and the red counties, because their leaders sold them out for political purposes, life expectancy declines in the second year of the pandemic were worse for white people than for Black. That has never happened before. We saved our lives. Give yourselves a round of applause. And so, in conclusion, let me end by observing that on evenings such as this, we are offered the opportunity to reflect on the larger questions and the transcendent values that are at the heart of our work and of our personal missions. The larger questions and transcendent values that inspire us and that sustain us over a lifetime of our careers. You honorees are an inspiration to people like me. Through your example, you teach us the art of the possible. You remind us of the great wisdom from our civil rights leader, Ella Baker, who many years ago, from way down south, said in response to a question, "Ain't no ways tired." Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work ahead, and we ain't no ways tired. We as no, we're not. Oh no. We especially have to work on restoring or enhancing the trust that we must have with our community, especially with those whom we differed with over masks and vaccines. We're up to the task because we have no alternative. By impulse and by necessity, our people and our nation deserve the best of what is in this room tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, life awaits. Life awaits. And we have work to do. I am honored to be included in solidarity with each and every one of you.
Wow. Woo. That was amazing. But I want to say to a couple of friends that came with me tonight, I told you you would be inspired tonight. Am I right? Oh yeah, man. Every year it's just incredible people here tonight. So once again, give it up for Dr. Reed Tuckson. All right, we're going to take a break from the program. We got some awards to hand out. We're going to do that. We want to give you time to eat and chat. All right, so we'll do that. We'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you. All right, thank you, man. That was smooth. That's smooth. Thank you. All right. Sorry, I hate to interrupt dinner and conversation, but we do need to move on with the program. The first person that we want to honor is the person who we just heard speak. I want to bring Dr. Reed Tuckson back up again to receive an award. Oh, there he is. Again, sorry to interrupt your dinner.
No, man. I'll get a picture with. Oh, yeah, right here. Can we do it right here?
You want me to, Richard?
Yeah.
All right, again, Dr. Reed Tuckson. All right, and now we would like to recognize our next top Black in healthcare and all of our distinguished honorees. The first honoree is the Executive Vice President and U.S. Head, Novartis Oncology. In this role, she is responsible for all commercial and medical operations covering oncology in the United States. Rashima Kemps-Polanco returned to Novartis in 2021 after spending 7 years at Johnson & Johnson, where she served as president, cardiovascular and metabolism business unit, and president, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Puerto Rico. Prior to Johnson & Johnson, Rashima spent 15 years at Novartis, where she led multiple marketing teams within oncology and general medicines. She also served as assistant to the CEO and head of North America and held other commercial roles of increasing responsibility across multiple therapeutic areas. During her tenure at Novartis, Rashima has been recognized by the Healthcare Businesswomen's Association as a rising star, a top 40, under 40 achiever by the Network Journal, and most recently by Savoy Magazine as one of the most influential Black executives in corporate America. Please welcome Rashima.
Congratulations.
All right. I was hoping you were going to read all of that. You write these things about yourself, and then you hear people read them, and you're like, nobody wants to hear all of that. That's a lot, right? Thank you so much. So they told me I have 2 minutes, and they're going to start playing that Oscar music, so I need to make sure I get it right. Listen, I want to thank blackdoctor.org for this amazing recognition. More importantly, I want to thank you for all of the work that you do to serve our communities. Congratulations to my fellow awardees, and thank you to my colleagues who made the sacrifice after a busy day at work to come here and support me. You see them at these 2 tables here, so we're in the house deep tonight, so thank you, Novartis. And I do want to have just a special recognition here to my mentee, Natasha. Natasha, I have to say, probably feels like she's in the room with a bunch of ancient people. Donnie, she did have to look you up, but that's okay. Natasha will be graduating about a month from now from George Washington University as a systems engineer, and also has landed her first job at Hewlett Packard in Houston. She has been my mentee. She has been my mentee since she was a senior in high school, and I'm oh so proud of you. So she is my date tonight. So for me, it is a wonderful recognition, but it is my reasonable service. There is a bishop in the house tonight who understands what I'm saying. This is my reasonable service. And the reason I say that is because I was raised on this one phrase, and I know my mother is watching right now. To whom much is given, much is required. And so for me, the job that I have at Novartis in leading the oncology organization, it is not a job, it is a mission for me. And people who work with me, they say that. They're like, this is like, it is a mission. It is, I'm walking in my purpose, and it is a privilege to be able to do that. And for all of us in this room, you have a seat at the table. Not the physical seats that you're sitting at, just by the fact that you in this room, you have a seat at some table. Your platform, whether it's in your community, where you work, where you serve, it is your platform to be able to help and lift others. And when you have that platform, it should guide us, especially us in the healthcare industry, to pursue innovation, quality access, and outcomes that are significant, like the ones we just heard around COVID vaccination. Significance that goes beyond fleeting success for those of us in corporate America. My teams often hear me talk about a life of significance versus chasing success. And when you are chasing significance, that will impact generations for years to come. So I challenge everyone in this room, for every table where you have a seat, take up space, let your voice be heard, create a voice for the voiceless, pursue significance that transcends success. For that will create wellness beyond health for all. And if we do this together, we will multiply our impact. For this is the only way equity for all will ever be realized. Thank you very much.
All right, our next honoree is the president of Global Vaccines, which leads Merck's vaccines, enable access to products across the company's portfolio spanning HPV, pneumococcal, pediatric, Ebola, and pipeline vaccines and assets. A career pharmaceutical professional and executive leader, Andrew Otu has more than 20 years of experience in vaccines across diverse geographies, including emerging markets. Drew joined Merck in 2019 as Vice President of Marketing and Global Commercial Lead for the company's pneumococcal vaccines portfolio. I present Dr. Otu.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to speak from my heart. I'm usually very scripted, very measured, but it's an honor to be here. It's great to have the BDO organization put this together. I'm very inspired. And what I'd like to do is first recognize those who have helped me to be here at this time and in this space. My parents, Dr. Godfred Otu, an oral surgeon, still alive at 83, still consulting. My mother, a nurse and midwife, 73 years old, still with us. My wife, Natalie, who has been by my side for the past 2 decades. And my work colleagues here today, also after a busy week of conferences and meetings, and they're here with me today. So first, I'd like to say thank you. I'm very grateful to all of you. We're driven by excellence in everything we do. And over the course of my life, and I'm sure yours as well, you've always received accolades. But today, this is, for me, the greatest honor to be recognized by one's family, one's community. And for that, I'm truly grateful. What all of you do, what we do, matters. So I have one call to action for all of you today. I want each of you to think carefully about your screening status, mammograms, pap smears, colonoscopies, your vaccination status, and also one other person that when you leave here tonight, that you will do that for a family member, for a friend, and you'll encourage them to check their screening status and to make sure they're up to date on their vaccinations. If we know better, we do better. Just because we have a promising future doesn't mean it's promised. So we have to do the work. Thank you.
All right, right in the center of the stage, right there.
Wow. Okay. You know, I'm not a doctor. I was never smart enough to be a doctor, but I'm a great patient. All right. I am. I'm really good at listening to people who are trying to keep me alive. I am. I do all of that stuff. Whatever I'm supposed to do, I do it and do it on time. I learned that from my wife. Yeah, because women are like that, right? I mean, just anything wrong. This ain't right. Something wrong. So I've learned. Anyway, storytelling is our next honoree's passion. Erica is Genentech's first chief marketing officer. Oh boy, covering Genentech's full commercial portfolio. In this role, Erica sets the vision, strategic enterprise, leadership, and direction for the marketing function at Genentech. Erica has over 15 years of experience in the pharmaceutical biotech industry and across a variety of different functions, including strategic analytics, sales, and marketing. Immediately prior to her appointment, Erica was the global head of oncology strategy at Roche. Please welcome Dr. Erica Taylor.
Oh boy. What's up, family? This is how I feel this evening. I am incredibly grateful to be here, and I would like to speak a little bit about the concept of humility and humbleness, which is what I feel. For me, humble means, and I'm certain there's so many brilliant people who will look this up in a dictionary. I'm not going to get this right. But for me, humble means knowing every day that I stand and I walk among things, people, and legacies that are bigger than me. And it does not mean that I am small, although the relative assessment might make it so. It means that I am always understanding that I am around greatness, I am surrounded by it, and I must honor that. So I'm going to take a moment and honor what came before. From my grandfather, who was born in 1899 and raised 5 children on a 6th grade education in Detroit. His youngest of those 5 children is my father, who was the first in his family to go to college. The oldest is my Uncle Billy, whose son is here, my cousin, tonight. From them, I learned the value of education and the value of hard work. My Uncle Billy worked 2 full-time jobs for 40 years. Do that math. My father went to school to study engineering back when they had to do engineering on punch cards, and was the first PC store owner in the city of Detroit. He was an entrepreneur. And so I feel like I stand in their shadows of the value of education and hard work. And then I fast forward to today. When I look to my left and my right, I have my husband here, the love of my life, Lauren Taylor, who has given so much of his soul and his heart to bettering his local community in Oakland, California. He inspires me every day. I have my oldest friend also here who reminds me to be courageous when I feel unsure and uncertain. She straightens my crown. I have, I have 18 colleagues here who have traveled They have more talent and capability, and they're picking finger than I will ever have. I honor you. You humble me. I am grateful that you're here. I look ahead to my 13-year-old daughter who is starting high school. I will accept all the prayers you're willing to. I'll take them. Who is gracious and kind, and I just pray so hard for her and for my 10-year-old son that they live the life that they choose. And all I say is, I tell my children, I'm like, you can be anything that you want, but I demand excellence. Because if it's what you want, you will be great at it. And then I reflect back on that legacy, my history, my current, and my future, my children. And I just stand here in gratitude to do a job I don't have any business doing, y'all. But I have a head full of wild ideas. I am so driven and passionate because at the end of the day, when I think about humility, I look about our patients who are sick and scared. And it's our job to find ways to tell the stories of the medicines that we produce from the brilliant minds of the scientists that I know well. And understanding that when we do our work well, we can think about wellness for us. And that is my passion. I'm humbled to do it. I'm grateful. I thank all of you, my fellow honorees, BDO. Thank you all so very much.
That's my homegirl. She's from Detroit. Yeah. The Motor City. Man. Oh, boy, this is always just every year we do this. It's just so inspiring for me. So just thank you again for having me here tonight. Our next honoree honors the diversity of thought and experience to be more effective and efficient in her role. Sherry Humphrey is Executive Director, Regional Oncology, Marketing at Merck, where she has commercial responsibility for oncology product that treats a range of cancers, including breast, ovarian, prostate, and pancreatic cancers. In this role, she provides leadership in strategy, development, and communication that support education of healthcare professionals and patients. Sherry spent more than 30 years as a leader in the pharmaceutical industry, having held a variety of positions in U.S. and global sales and marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sherry Humphrey.
Wow, thank you very much, Donnie, for the award. And I have to tell you, the one word that just came to my mind with this was humble. When I got the email from Tracy and it mentioned that I was an award winner, the first thing that came to my mind was, wow. The second thing that came to my mind after I saw a lot of the other people that I was with was, you think I'm not worthy because you're with such smart, ambitious people that have done so much. And I have to say, I met Reggie, I was talking to him about this when he called me. It was about 18 years ago. We were at the Millennium Hotel in New York City. And that was one of the roles where I was actually leading all of the primary care marketing communications at Merck at the time. And he was talking to me about blackdoctor.org at the time, not BDO, and all of these dreams and hopes that he had for it. And I just remember thinking to myself, this guy, he's got something going there. And sure enough, he has. Now we fast forwarded to 18 years. I've spent probably about the last 5 to 7 years in the oncology world. And I have to say, of all the roles that I've had, this one is the one that really gets me here. Because I've listened to and been with patients that have suffered from breast cancer, ovarian cancer specifically, and prostate cancer. And when you hear, we heard from some of the panelists today, some of the stories that those folks have, it's not about money, it's about because of the way they look. The way they look impacts the way they're treated. And that in the year of 2023 should not happen. If you have money, don't have money, it shouldn't matter. But what's even more startling is just because you have money and can afford it, the people in this room still may not get the same health care that counterparts that are not people of color will have. So as I take a look at my journey, I've been in the industry over 30 years now. And when I take a look at my next act and what I'm looking to do, it really is taking a look at what is the voice that I can have. I've worked at a pharmaceutical company that's great. We do a lot for trying to discover medicines, to help treat patients, to help prevent cancers. But it's going to take more than that. And working with organizations like BDO, meeting a lot of the people here that are working with a lot of these organizations, is just what warms my heart and really makes me excited for the future. Now, my story actually began with my father, who grew up in a time, my father's 85 now, and when he was working a bench job in a lab in a little town called Millsboro, Delaware, producing poultry vaccines. He was the first Black person on the East Coast that actually did that. And on Saturdays, he would take me to work with him, and he would set up these little experiments to keep me busy, out of my mom's hair. And from there, that's where I really got my passion for science. And now when I think back over the 30 plus years in the industry and all the changes, the first thing that comes to my mind is I know that I've made him proud and I've done what he's done. He said, always take advantage of opportunities because I never had them. So I've spent my entire life trying to do that. I want to thank my husband, who's been either a friend, boyfriend, fiance, husband for the last 30 years, who's been there with me through this long journey, supporting me, picking me up when I'm down. And also we have a wonderful 20-year-old daughter who wanted to be here, but she's in college, couldn't come. They are really my life. And again, thanks to you, BDO, for the recognition, the opportunity, and for what you do to really bring the best of healthcare to all of us. Thank you.
Great job, Sheila.
All right, our next outstanding individual is Veronica Jones, who is... That's her fan club. She brought them along. That's great. Veronica Jones is the Chief Procurement Officer at Gilead Sciences. In this role, Veronica's responsibilities are focused on transforming how Gilead develops and manages strategic supplier relationships. Most importantly, she will be responsible for redefining the user experience by creating and developing and delivering an innovative procurement technology roadmap, a strategic plan which leverages Gilead's enterprise-wide buying power and collaborating across the business to achieve a best-in-class supplier inclusion program. Prior to Gilead, Veronica led the strategic development of indirect procurement for Google Cloud, where she defined and launched a procurement business partnering strategy to support the complex and fast-evolving cloud technology business strategy. Please welcome Veronica Jones.
Hello, everyone. So first, I'd like to start with a thank you to Reggie and his amazing team at blackdoctor.org. Thank you. Thank you for the honor and the opportunity to be here. And thank you for spending some time with me when I wondered, why me? You know, you guys contacted me and I thought, gosh, what a distinguished, accomplished, amazing group. Why me? And I really had to spend some time actually journaling, like, why me? And I will share with you that I actually had to shift my thinking, and I had to share with myself what I would tell some of my mentees or colleagues, and that is, why not you? And I will share with you not everything that I journaled, but 3 things that came to mind. And the first thing was, I work really hard on these really big issues that not everyone wants to solve, or not everyone thinks is an issue. You know, no bad intent, they're just not that important for them because they're doing really big, important things in the lab or out in the field or in the executive office. And so how do I convince folks that we can actually do it better, faster, smarter, so that we can then have more funds that go into more clinical trials? And I know a lot of folks here from Merck and Genentech, my old colleagues, and Novartis can really understand how important that is. So that work's important to me. And every day I go in intentionally thinking about how can I do this better, faster, collaboratively. And so that's important to me. So I decided, you know what, that makes sense. That's one reason why it may be that I'm being acknowledged. But then I said, well, maybe there's something else. And I thought about what else. And then I realized that, you know, since I've been at Gilead for the last 2 years, what I've learned is that the Black community is about 14% of this nation. And while we're 14% population, we're 42% of the new HIV diagnosis. And when you hear that, it just makes you think, what can I do? How could this be? And so I've had that thought many times since I've been at Gilead. And I am in a position to contribute. I'm someplace in the value chain where I can make sure that at the end of the day, we get there faster. We do this very important work that matters for this community. So I think that's worth saying, you know what, you're doing some good work. This work matters. And then my last reason that I will share with you that I am so honored to be acknowledged and to take this award home is that I'll admit it's been a tough last few years. I've lost my youngest sister to cancer. A year later, I lost my mom. And then a year later, I lost my oldest sister. And so year after year after year, it's been, you know, quite significant losses and really difficult time, deep sadness. And I realized that the way that I was able to get up every day and to go and do this very, very important, impactful work with intention was because I was doing it for them. And I promised that I would never, ever leave a stage or a moment to say their names. And so I say to Kimberly Dixon, my sister, Nettie B. Dixon, my mother, and Sharon Grant, my sister, this is for you. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, our next honoree is the poster child of working your way up the ladder. Starting in the laundry of a hospital, his journey through many positions has landed him president of the U.S. Sales Cardiology Group for Boston Scientific and chair of Close the Gap. Sam Conaway leads the cardiology sales group, which includes 3 businesses: atrial fibrillation solutions, AF solutions, cardiac rhythm management, DX, and interventional cardiology therapies, ICTX. Sam chairs Close the Gap, Boston Scientific's Health Equity Program, combined with other unique Boston Scientific programs. Sam leads the commercial strategy and engagement across the entire cardiology portfolio of products. Additionally, as a member of the cardiology group executive team, he leads cross-functional teams focused on strategic alliances that enable customers compelling value propositions. Sam has 30 plus years of medical device experience, including past leadership roles at Guidant and Abbott Vascular. Please welcome Sam Conaway.
Well, I'm in awe. Donnie Simpson, I listened to him as a kid. Donnie. Boy, it's great to be here tonight. And I want to say, first of all, that I am humbled to be able to receive this award. And first, I want to pay recognition to BDO. Reggie and I met for the first time tonight. And we started talking, and we could have talked all night. Because there's one thing that we have in common. It is patient care, taking care of our Black community, taking care of our women, taking care of all people. Because guess what? We are underserved. And so when I think about the mission and journey that I've been on, so happy to hear Donnie say the laundry, because I actually started out at the laundry at the Washington Hospital Center down the street. And today was an amazing day because I got a chance to go back to the Washington Hospital Center because they're opening up a new electrophysiology lab, and they wanted some past members of the team to come back and express their gratitude for what they had accomplished. And I had chills because I used to deliver scrubs, lab coats, and quite frankly, I was, in theory, nobody. And had a chance to grow in that place and become a man at 18 and 19 years old, and go back to cardiovascular school and find myself taking care of patients in the medical device space, which is different than anything you can imagine. And the reason why I say that is because we as Black people are not getting the innovation that is happening in America around devices for cardiovascular diseases. I'm going to come back to that. I want to acknowledge my team here because as part of my job at Boston Scientific, I lead a group called Close the Gap. And we've been doing this work for over 20 years to close the gap between how people are treated in the United States to get medical devices and the lack of treatment for people of color and women. And so we have done some amazing work. I want to acknowledge the team over here, led by Paige and Iñaki. Please stand up. Just an amazing team at Boston Scientific. One of the members who's not here is Camille Chang Gilmore, who is an amazing leader in this space. You may have heard of her. She's just done some great work, so I just want to acknowledge her as well. But now I'm going to go back to this whole notion of cardiovascular disease and medical devices. And I'm going to start with this. Did you know that Blacks are treated less for aortic valve disease than whites? As a matter of fact, if our population is 14%, we're only treated at a 4% rate. Did you know that blacks have a higher chance of being amputated than whites. As a matter of fact, a 40 to 50% more chance. Did you know that during that amputation, they never had an angiogram to identify the disease? They're just amputated. Did you know that when you show up at ER and you're a woman, people of color, you have less chance of receiving an EKG? Can you imagine that? You have a higher chance to receive a drug for antidepressant. Oh my Lord. So this work is so important, and I'll talk about my North Star. My North Star is all about helping Black people, helping people of color, helping women receive this cardiovascular disease. And I've had so many families and friends die from this. And if I can ask one thing from all of us tonight, is to recognize that heart disease is the #1 killer of all people. I'm going to pause a second. It's not HIV, and believe me, all the work that's being done needs to be done in that. It's not cancer. It is heart disease. So know your numbers. Please know your numbers. You cannot walk around with hypertension. You cannot walk around with diabetes. You cannot walk around not understanding your cardiovascular status. Because guess what? It is the #1 killer of all people. Finally, I want to thank my family who've put up with me. When you're a cardiovascular technologist, when you're a medical device specialist, when you are committed to cardiovascular disease, you work from sunup to sundown. And if there's one thing I regret, is not being with my sons as much as I could, not being with my wife as much as I could. But this mission is serious and rewarding. So I want to say thank you, Aaron. Please stand up, my son. He's a native Washingtonian. He's here. And I want to thank my beautiful wife, Desiree, who puts up with me. And I can't thank you enough. Thank you for this award, BDO. I'm committed to your mission, and I want to be 100% engaged. And Reggie, you are a superstar. Thank you.
All right. Before we go on to our next honoree, we have to give some recognition to our sponsors, our collaborators, our partners who value equity in healthcare, like blackdoctor.org. First, let's hear from our presenting sponsor, Novartis, with a short video. All right, thank you, Novartis. Also, let's recognize our other partners who made this possible. Our platinum sponsors, Genentech and their commercial portfolio. Genentech, Merck, and a special thank you to our other sponsors, Amgen, Boston Scientific, Sanofi, Gilead. All right, we appreciate your kind support. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Now let's get back to our outstanding honorees. In 2022, our next honoree was named as one of the most influential Black executives in corporate America by Savoy magazine. Dr. Panda Mosepi Deshego is the Vice President of Global Medical Therapeutic Area Head, Inflammation and Representation in Clinical Research. In his role, Dr. Mosepi Deshego leads the development and execution of the medical strategy and tactical plans, scientific dissemination, education, and external engagements across inflammation therapeutic areas. Panda is the previous global chair for the Amgen Black Employee Network, where she plays a leading role in advancing Amgen's objectives in improving health equity and increasing minority group enrollment in clinical trials. Panda is also currently a member board of directors of the Amgen Foundation. Dr. Mosepi Deshego has more than 21 years of leadership experience in the pharmaceutical industry, including serving as the executive director, medical director for the Amgen Canada Inc. medical team. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mosepi Deshego. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Yeah, pleasure. Open it. That's your thing.
Good evening. Thank you very much. And more importantly, thank you for not reading that entire bio. I'd like to take the time to really thank blackdoctors.org for this wonderful, wonderful honor. I'm truly, truly humbled to be on this list of attendees, but more importantly, I'm honored to be sitting at the table with so many important leaders who are committed to advancing health equity in this country. As a native South African and an MD who qualified from South Africa, I remember very, very early on, especially in my training and during my residency, just seeing firsthand the inequalities and the negative impact that health disparities has on our people. Fast forward a couple of years, and I'd worked now, I think, on 3 continents, 4 different countries, which include the UK, Canada, obviously South Africa, and now in the US. And unfortunately, I'm saddened because I still see those same disparities. But there's a difference. There's a difference, and the difference, ladies and gentlemen, is in this room tonight. And for that, again, I want to say thank you, Reggie, to you and the team, for providing us with this unique platform to continue to shine the light on how we can address these inequalities in our healthcare system, and especially to our Black and Brown communities that range from so many different topics. Some of them we spoke about today: social determinants of health, genetic biomarker testing, access issues, microaggression, and biases that the previous speaker just shared with us. Thank you for providing this very, very important platform for us to talk about it. You know, you hear a lot about health inequity or health equity. Some people choose to call it inequity, which is fair, from companies and many organizations these days. But again, the difference for us, for many of us in this room, is that it's personal. It's really, really personal. every one of us in this room can probably tell a story about how health disparities have affected themselves, somebody they love, grandparents, spouses, children. We heard from our panelists this morning, and it was kind of difficult sometimes to hear their experiences and the journeys that they have to go through. But because of our personal joint commitment in this room, we are on a mission. And we're on it together because we know it takes a village. This is not a marathon, this is a journey. I'm not saying we're going to accept or be satisfied with the poor progress or with the status quo, but we're going to tackle it as a village. And today is a reflection, and this evening is a reflection of trying to achieve just that. So as I stand here on this stage, I stand here also recognizing that this award is not possible without my village. And I have my village here today. But I have to share this story, and I love to share this story if you've ever heard me speak before. It was the Amgen Black Employee Network, of which I was the global chair for the past 2 years. It was them that actually got together because they had a commitment to this vision around tackling diversity in clinical trials. The tremendous business impact that the ERGs or ERGs, employee resource groups, can have in our organizations, in pharmaceutical, in biotech. Let's not underestimate that. And I want to pause here and ask a gentleman who's joined us at our table, who's become my brother here in America, Mr. Mike Edmondson, to please stand up. He is our VP of Global Commercial, Field Excellence, Learning and Performance, and he heads up DIMB. But it was under his leadership and under another sister of mine, Tamika Jean-Baptiste, who's our VP and Chief Diversity Officer at Amgen, when they were leading ABIN, because they are the ones who had the know-how to allow two youngsters, I will say, within our organization who were like-minded around tackling this issue of diversity in clinical trials. They were just organically sitting, ideating. The one gentleman's actually here as well, and I'd like him to stand up. His name is Jude Ngang, and today he's our executive director. Today, Jude is our executive director for RISE, which stands for Representation in Clinical Research. And our colleague, Raquel Ricardio, who unfortunately isn't here today, they were the two that sat together as far back as 2016, long before COVID, long before George Floyd, ideated, came together, and under Mike and Tamika's leadership, were able to convince the organization and convince the rest of Amgen that it was time to act. That is such a proud moment. And I really, really want to take the opportunity to thank both Mike, both Jude, Tamika, our senior executive and CEO staff at Amgen, including our chairman and CEO, Bob Bradway, our executive vice president of R&D, Dave Reese, and the rest of the CEO organization, my amazing team, RISE, and the rest of the people who are here with us today, the Amgen table. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your belief. But most of all, I do want to say a very, very big thank you to our chief medical officer. That's where things happen. That's where decisions are made. And if you don't have that sponsorship spine, it's not going to work. I also want to thank our Senior Vice President of Development, who also was part of the impetus to make sure that we move the needle, that we really create an impact that allowed us to have this dedicated team called RISE. So lots of people I've thanked. I will conclude now because I'm sure my 2 minutes is up. But most importantly, guys, I want to say a very, very big thank you to my extended tribe and village back home in South Africa. They gave me the will and the impetus to go out there and do more and make an impact. Here, my family here in the US. I want to say a special thank you to my husband, who unfortunately couldn't be here. He's actually home with a cold with my son, but his name is Mr. Tseho Ditseho. My daughter, Untatile Ditseho, who's 16 years old. My son, Udimotsi Ditseho, who's 10 years old, who've packed many, many bags and suitcases and jumped on many, many flights to support their mom in trying to create an impact in this world. I want to thank them for their unwavering love, encouragement, and support. And in my native language called Setswana, which is one of the 11 official languages in South Africa, I want to say, "Ke leboga ho le menehane," which simply means I'm immensely grateful for this opportunity and honor and award. Thank you.
All right, our next dynamic honoree is Rod Cotton. Rod Cotton is an entrepreneurial senior leader in the pharmaceutical industry who is known for his holistic perspective, bias for action in the face of challenges, and commitment to agile processes. A key influencer across all levels of the organization, Rod is currently a member of the board of directors of Orchard Software, Community Health Network Health System, among other board level roles. He is also SVP, Head of Strategy and Transformation, and Chief of Staff to the CEO for Roche Diagnostics, the North American headquarters of the world's largest $17 billion diagnostics company. Rod leads key enterprise initiatives at Roche, such as Milestone Corporate Communications, Health Equity Coalitions, and the U.S. Roche Group Audit, and Global U.S. Acquisition Integrations. With 35 plus years of healthcare experience, he has also driven the financial turnaround and cultural transformation of 4 global healthcare companies, led teams of up to 280 total reports, managed P&L of $1+ billion, and served as a key member of the senior leadership team executing the most significant restructuring of the company in 2 decades. Please welcome Rod Cotton. Congratulations. Thank you, man.
Wow. Wow. What an honor. Not only to receive this award, but to be in this very room with all of you tonight. I am speechless. I really don't have many words to say. I don't know if I can find all the words to say, but let me begin by saying to all of our beautiful guests, to my fellow honorees, and to the amazing BlackDoctor.com, amazing under the capable leadership of Mr. Reggie Ware, a simple thank you. To be honored like this in arguably the twilight of my career, some of you may or may not know that I recently announced my intention to retire after 42 years. I know it says 35 in the bio, but it was a little trick I played so people can't figure out how old I am. But after 42 years of working in the healthcare industry for 4 different Fortune 50 companies, 22 years at Roche, to receive this award from my people, this is something I will cherish for the rest of my life, honestly. So before I sit down, I want to convey a couple of key messages. And first and foremost, another huge thank you to BlackDoctor.com for the work you're doing in the community. to educate, to promote health and wellness, and to really care for our community. To my fellow honorees, I have read your bios. I know some of you, I work with some of you. Erica, Sam, and many others. I listened to you this morning at the panel discussions. You are incredible. You are excellent in every way. And so my message to you is keep leading, keep shining your light, because you are a beacon of hope for our community. And finally, and last but not least, I want to say my deepest appreciation for my family. Family, stand up. Without you, thank you for your love, your support, your encouragement. Without you, I am nothing. I am literally nothing. One more thing I want to share with this team, this group, and it is a term that was coined by a close friend of mine, Toby Tompkins, who is a brilliant writer, an author, an entrepreneur. He just founded a software company in Portugal. And about 10 years ago, he coined the phrase, beautiful leadership. And he did it at the time of Nelson Mandela's death, to honor Nelson Mandela. And he said, Rod, beautiful leadership is about three things. It's about caring, it's about transparency, and it's about trust. And ladies and gentlemen, I feel all of that. I feel all of those three elements in my bones tonight. I feel it in my soul. And you know, what I want you to do for me, is look to the person to your left. Look at the person to your left right now. Look at the person to your left. And don't just glance at them. Look them in the eye. I know it can be awkward. I know it can be a little awkward. Look them in the eye. Now, you got a good look? Turn around and look at the person on the right. Look them in the eye. My dear friends, family, if you want to know what beautiful leadership looks like, you're looking at it. That is what beautiful leadership looks like. You are looking at it. And so with that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I bid you a good evening.
All right, before we go on, we forgot to thank one sponsor, and that's Cedar Sinai. So thank you. Our next honoree is a very successful serial entrepreneur. He founded and served on the board of 3 successful pharmaceutical companies. Currently, Anthony P. Mack is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Verpax Pharmaceuticals, Inc., a publicly held emerging growth company located in Berwyn, Pennsylvania. His experience in pharma biotech and finance covers more than 35 years. Since 2017, Verpax has been focused on advancing the development of its non-addictive pain and neurological disorder pipeline for worldwide commercialization, founding and selling 3 pharmaceutical companies. Anthony Mack is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Verpax Pharmaceuticals, and we welcome him to the stage. Anthony P. Mack.
Well, thank you, family. Thank you. This is a big honor. Reggie, you do some amazing work here. We'd be probably way back if we weren't for you doing all this work and your people. This is amazing. I have never heard of BDO. This is my first time hearing about it when I talked to Reggie, and I had to look it up also. I'm honored, man. This is amazing. I heard someone talk about Dr. Charles Drew. I didn't bring a lot of fans here, but maybe there's some friends here because I belong to Omega Psi Phi fraternity. There you go. There you go. And I thought there'd be some friends here. And this is a big honor for me to be here, especially after I've heard all the great people come up here. This is a big honor. I just didn't know how big it was until I came here. So this is great. I have founded some really good companies, but I have some really great people. If I could tell my whole story, it's got a lot of God in it, and it's got a lot of great people in it. Really great people, great professors, great board members. I have great board members that I work with, great officers. I have a great assistant. Shout out to Shannon Penzarella, who makes me look really good. She's been with me since 2015. I have great mentors who I use all the time. I'm using Reggie as one of my mentors now. I tap into these mentors and people that help me support, but different mentors for different things, right? Because as I start up these different companies, there are certain things that I need to have. And so I do call on a lot of these people to help me. Some of the people that are on my board were my professors. Some of them were colleagues of mine that sit on the boards with me now and that help me and guide me. And they very much have some of the backgrounds of some of the people in this room. I hear a lot of PhDs, doctors, a lot of those guys sit on my board and they make me really good. They make me really, they support me. They give me a lot of help. They assist me. I get to introduce a lot of people this way. So, I'll go to a couple of things. I'll talk about my mentors and I'll talk about my support. But when I say this, I say we started these companies. It wasn't just me, it's a we. All of those people that I talked about, those professors, those board members, they helped me to start these companies that I've started. If I tell you how they started, you'd be amazed. One of them, they didn't start with money. I don't come from money. I come from Bridgeport, Connecticut, Father Panic Village, Building 302, a project in Bridgeport. That's where I come from. I didn't have parents. I had one parent, and that's where I come from. And so when I say I had a lot of support, I had a lot of support. I've been in this industry for a long time, and I started out with this company, Novartis, when it was Sandoz Pharmaceuticals. So I'll say this about my mentors. One of them I'll talk in particular about, this is my grandmother, born in 1904. So when I go through tough times, this is the mentor that I call on in my spirit. 1904, she bought 21 acres of land in the Great Depression in Tallahassee, Florida. 12 children, a farmer, and a midwife. And she was an entrepreneur well into her 80s because after she stopped farming, she sold the red clay on her land for the roads that are built in Tallahassee, Florida. And I'll talk about my greatest support for almost 40 years. This lady over here, Deborah Ann Mack, the first entrepreneur in our family. So when I told her I wanted to start up a pharma company, she just said, okay, that was it. Like, I do this all the time. I get a fee for this too. Damnfashions.com. That's her company. So when I started this out and I told her I wanted to do it, it was like, okay, and that was it. I said, well, I started arguing with her. I said, well, what about this? We need this, we need that. What about money? And she just said, I do this all the time. Just go out and do what you do. And that gave me really the what I needed, that motivation to get out there and do it. And I knew she had my back. And that was important to me. I started that company without a single penny. That company is called ProSolus. I sold that company after 6 years. If you go to Miami, Florida, you'll see that company still standing, ProSolus Pharmaceuticals. The second company I founded was Silex, as we talked about here. That company was a company that was started with one product that we licensed from a group in Japan. So we not only had to get the product approved, we had to get the facility in Japan approved. Then once we got that, we sold it. That's a publicly held company now. Silex, you look that up, we sold it to a group called Sorrento Therapeutics. I see a clock down here. Well, it's not for me, okay. Because it says 0, so I must be running out of time. And this third company is Verpax, and you heard the history behind Verpax. But I want to get back to this woman over here who's helped me, who's been the maverick for our family. We have 4 children, and she's a Gigi, and there's another one on the way. I have a grandson and another grandson on the way. When I say maverick, she was the first one to go and get her master's degree. So because she got hers, I got mine. Get yours, I'm gonna get my degree. All my children all have their master's degrees, but it started with her. She's been my great support. She's been my backbone. I call on her for everything. I think it was Reggie who said every decision that he's made with his wife. Every decision I've made, I bounced off of her. And sometimes I didn't like her advice, but I had to come back around and go, you were right. So with that, I want to thank you for this honor. I really appreciate this. I'm a big fan now that I know about this. I'm gonna tell everybody about this, about these great people, all the work that you do, man. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Well done, buddy. Well done. Got that right.
Let me sit over here.
All right. Equity is the only acceptable goal. A quote by Paul Farmer is at the top of our next honoree's LinkedIn page because she is passionate about diversity and inclusion. Monique Adams is the Executive Director, Global Head, Diversity and Inclusion in Clinical Trials at Sanofi. Monique is working with internal and external partners to drive Sanofi's vision, strategy, and implementation of a holistic framework for inclusion and diversity in clinical trials. Before joining Sanofi, Monique served as the Director of Janssen Clinical Innovation and Global Development. She is a thought expert on identifying innovative ways to ensure clinical trials are equitable and accessible. Monique is a trusted, inclusive global leader with over 20 years of drug development experience, working across various organizations in the pharmaceutical industry. Please welcome Monique Adams.
So I want to say I am so honored for this opportunity, and even more so because my family surprised me and showed up here today. So my parents flew in from Chicago. My daughter drove down from New Jersey, and my younger sister and my son and my cousin Gerald came in from the DMV in the Virginia area. I'm also very honored because my husband, my best friend, my supporter of over 30 years is also here with me today. And also very thankful that my colleague, my collaborator, my manager, my mentor also joined me today. So I have a really supportive tribe, and I am very grateful for that. I'm also grateful to Reggie and all of the members for blackdoctor.org on hosting this event, because I think it is so important to acknowledge and to showcase the great work that many of us are doing to advance health equity within our various professions. And even more so that they have the foresight to use their platform and their visibility to actually stream this live to all of their followers. So they have over 2 million followers. And so they have access to be able to see the great work that we're doing through the Thought Leadership Program that was held earlier today, but also to see all of the great work that these honorees are doing in this space. And I think that that's important because I think representation is important. And one of the many things that my parents did for me was to give me access and visibility to great leaders. Right? So I am from the South Side of Chicago. And I personally witnessed the devastating impact that disparities had on my community, and particularly as it relates to healthcare disparities. But my parents were very intentional about what they exposed my sister and I to. And so they wanted to make sure that we had exposure to Black leaders in our community. So from educators, both of my parents are principals and leaders in the public school system. From the Black business leaders in our community, everyone who came to our house to do business with us, so from insurance agents to contractors, they look like us. Our healthcare providers, I had a Black dentist, I had a Black pediatrician. And so that was just important to me because those visions, those people that I saw that were successful in their careers, that inspired me and encouraged me to pursue my passions. And so one of the things that I would like to see come from this event is that we have the opportunity to inspire the next generation. So my hope is that by someone who is streaming this or watching the replay of this activity, that if I can motivate just one young Black male or one young Black female to truly align their purpose and their passion with the work that they do, I believe that that is how they will truly be able to have an impact on the world. So that is my vision for this evening. Thank you.
Oh man, I'm gonna hate for this night to end. Telling you. Wow. How cool is that to have your family come in and everything? Nice. Our last, but certainly not least honoree is Dr. Christina Harris. This extraordinary woman is the Vice President and Chief Health Equity Officer at Cedars-Sinai. In this strategic leadership position, Harris guides Cedars-Sinai's efforts to advance health equity by addressing health disparities in clinical care, supporting equity-centered research and education, and fostering meaningful partnerships to uplift underrepresented communities throughout Los Angeles. Dr. Harris has spent much of her career focused on enhancing diversity and inclusion in medical training. Originally from San Diego, she attended, somebody said, I felt the same way. It's like, life is pretty good, I would imagine, growing up in San Diego. That's pretty nice. No shoveling snow. Anyway, she's originally from San Diego. She attended Harvard Medical School. Yeah. I went to Harvard to speak once. Yeah. She attended Harvard Medical School and completed a primary care track residency at NYP Weill Cornell Medical Center in New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Christina Harris.
Thank you so much. I am so very honored to be here. I have one of those speeches that's like a line of thank yous, but I'm going to start with BDO. Thank you for being you as an organization. Thank you for what you do and how you do it. I've had the privilege and honor of watching Ellis translate complex medical issues down to ways that my dad can understand, my mom understands. Yes, they watch. I want to thank Cedars-Sinai for trusting me with this fantastic and awesome responsibility to lead health equity for our institutions and for the city of Los Angeles, and also for recognizing the greatness of BDO and allowing us to partner with them and really take a stand to educate the community in the ways that we know are needed so much. Thank you to my family and my friends for their love and support. I'm gonna say support again because my husband is here and y'all, he is the bomb, okay? I mean, cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping. Yes, he does it all. It takes a village. Thank you for supporting me, and thank you for always reminding me that every step forward that's worth taking requires a leap and requires stepping into the unknown. Thank you for spotting me during all of these big leaps that I've taken over my career. I want to thank, I've spent a lot of my career in resident education and medical student education. I want to thank all of my residents and my medical students for, for questioning everything they're questioning and not accepting the status quo, and for helping me be on the leading edge of change. Y'all, the future, as we saw earlier in the thought leadership, the future is so bright, right? And, tomorrow will not look how it does today. And we're doing our part today, but they're gonna come in and blow it up and rebuild it the way it was supposed to be built, right? With equity in mind. Of course, I thank my patients. My patients have taught me so much about resilience and love and aging, and that it's not to be feared and it's to be embraced. I love my patients for everything. Being a physician is probably one of the greatest honors in life. I want to thank you guys. I know maybe a handful of people before tonight, and thinking about today, I witnessed greatness, individual greatness, but when I look out, I see new family members, new community, and I recognize that, this is community, this is family, right? I love a good for us, by us event. This is it, right? Because together, yeah, FUBU, that's right. But together we're unstoppable, right? And so thank you so much. It's really truly an honor and a privilege. I might be standing between you and a turn up, so I'm gonna say, good night.
Good deal. Oh my goodness. What a personality. She's amazing. Oh man, this is amazing. What a night. What a night. I'm told to remind everybody that there's an after party in the Roosevelt room tonight. All right, we'll turn it up in the Roosevelt room tonight. All right, so that's going to happen in just a little bit. Man, this has been an incredible evening. I want to thank Reggie Ware, again, the CEO of BlackDoctor.org. Thanks for getting me out the house tonight. I got to tell you, it's so cool to be dressed from my closet and not my drawers for once. I've just been in shorts and sweats and t-shirts for more than 3 years now. So I really am thrilled to be out tonight, and just couldn't think of a better place to do that, to have my first night back than with you people here tonight. So thank you so much. It's been an incredible evening. I want to thank all of our sponsors again, okay? Because, couldn't do it without them. So I want to thank Novartis, Genentech, Merck, Amgen, Boston Scientific, Sanofi, Gilead Sciences, and I want to thank everyone who came here tonight. What, did I say something wrong? What happened? Huh? Oh, Cedars again. Well, y'all know it ain't my fault. I'm reading these things. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I'm not going to take this one. And Cedar Sinai. Yeah. Oh, man. Wow. Well, thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful night. God bless you all, and thanks for the inspiration tonight. Peace. God bless you.